podcast. Today we have Hillary Tran. She is a unfiltered and apologetically real voice in American weightlifting. She's competed in weightlifting for 10 plus years. She's gone viral for her China Youth Camp series. I'm very excited to talk about that. And she's rehabbed not one, but two elbow dislocations. Oof. She's also juggled life as a corporate professional, a world traveler, and has controversially failed a drug test in 2021. And through it all, she's still standing. And she's here to talk about it today and how to live a happy, healthy life. So tune in. Hi.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I feel like we've been talking already. Welcome. Who is Hillary Tran?
Oh my God, you had to start with that?
Yeah, let's go.
I need a more clarifying question. Who is Hillary Tran?
Yeah.
As a competitor, as a...
Who are you in this phase of your life? How old are you? You don't share that.
No, I don't.
It's a secret.
I don't know.
You never ask a woman her age.
No, I'm year of the monkey.
You're the monk. I have no clue what that means.
I'll be 33 this year.
Dang, you're young.
Thank you.
What's life at 33? So I know you're born and raised in the Bay.
Yeah.
And you have a background in Chinese weightlifting specifically. Why is that the case?
My background, Chinese weightlifting, and then also, what was the first part?
Born and raised in the Bay.
Oh, right. I think being in the Bay exposes you to like a whole spectrum of people.
Yeah.
And what you can have and what things can look like when you don't chase what you want. There's a lot of noise, but then if you know how to filter throughout all the noise, you know. I think there's a lot of ambition that you can see being raised in the Bay. And that's what I think I always go back home for. It's like, for example, like, well, I'm Singaporean, right? So you can only see like crazy rich Asian, the very, I don't say pretentious, but like you see one type of lifestyle. And the versus in the Bay, I remember when people ask me why do I always go back home, it's like you could just see creatures. Or like, for example, on the bus, I remember you could just see everything. Creatures. Like subway creatures, like you see in New York. It's just like, there's so much animation you can see at home. So, but you can also see what people, like tech. You can also see like the nicest homes you'll ever see in your life. Yeah. You just have like this hub of opportunities of people that made it or didn't, and then kind of decide for yourself. Yeah. So for me, like being able to filter that, I think is one thing that I've been blessed with in being in the Bay. And then why Chinese weightlifting? To be honest, I used to chase basketball. As growing up, basketball was my first love.
That didn't work out though.
No, I'm fucking 5 feet.
I feel you. 5'8", you know? Yo.
Well, but basketball was like, I mean, being an age, like, Bay Area Asian sports, basketball is like the one biggest thing. So I chased basketball, obviously didn't work out. And I think growing up, I always wanted to defy odds. So I would chase things that I'm not supposed to be good at, and I try. And then as I got out of basketball training, let's just say that, and then kind of when you get into your college years, you're not playing on teams anymore, getting into fitness. I was CrossFitting, doing jiu-jitsu. Then I stumbled into Olympic lifting, and Chinese were number one. And I remember I was doing Wadapalooza. I was at Wadapalooza one year, and my coach at the time had disowned me because I was doing too many sports at once. And
wow, okay.
Yeah, so I did that by myself, but then
This is CrossFit.
This is just when I was at Wadapalooza. I was doing too many sports at once, and coaches just kept saying you have to choose one. And I'm like, again, just trying to defy odds, right? Like, I'm gonna show you I can do all three. I was in my head. That was the first time I ever wanted to quit, like in Wadapalooza. I just wasn't stacking up. And I remember my coach called me one time during the competition. He was the one that uplifted me. He was like, "What do the girls look like over there?" And I was like, "Fucking like Vikings." And then he was like, "Okay, when you go to World Championships, what do they look like? Do you look like them?" I'm like, "I do look like the top lifters in weightlifting." So at that point was when I chose. I was like, okay, if I sucked at weightlifting too, but why Chinese weightlifting is because I was like, all right, genetically I'm built for this. Yeah. And so why don't I just try doing something that I'm actually built for? And then I just went on with it. It was the best decision ever. Because in my head I was like, I suck at weightlifting. But even if I got like a little bit better, it can transfer over into CrossFit because I was pretty good at CrossFit at the time. But I was like, okay, even if you got just a little bit better, just choose one for like a couple years to see how far you can go, and then if it doesn't go anywhere, at least you move the needle towards something that's very uncomfortable and you suck at, and it would transfer to everything else. And then after that, it just fucking took off.
Let's rewind a little bit.
Okay.
So you grew up Bay Area, hooping. You find what's your first? You find jujitsu. What's your first thing you find after? What's your transition
after
sport?
basketball?
Yeah.
I was really into prison workouts. Actually,
Prison workouts.
Calisthenics, because I grew up on the street, so like I really liked park workouts. I was like, you don't need a gym.
What age is this?
Might be straight out of high school.
Okay, so you've been into fitness for like over a decade. Like you were interested in fitness and working out.
When I was a kid, I was like, I'm gonna get the top score on the push-up assessment. So I was always already kind of like
okay, that's so un-Asian.
Training.
Okay, wow. So then after that you get into CrossFit.
If you want to totally backtrack, so basketball, and then leave school. I graduated early too, so I was kind of on my own for a bit. And then I was still kind of like keeping myself in shape because God forbid, my mom's a singer, so she wants me to look a certain way. I wasn't not allowed to be fat.
What kind of singer?
She was an international singer.
Like what kind of music?
Back in the day, in like South Singapore, Malaysia, they were known for, how do you say it? What's it called? When people try to be Michael Jackson, like
pop covers.
Yeah, pop covers. There we go. She was like that, and she was one of the top ones in Singapore.
Wow.
And so she was touring America. She would tour the world, actually. She would tour the world. Wow. And at the time, so she was supposedly one of the first few that broke out of Singapore.
Oh wow.
So she had this image that I had to be, which is like fit, at least not fat. And then like she would definitely, there's some shaming there. Because I remember the first time she ever said like pretty or like you're good is when I was bulimic.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So fitness was always kind of like, I knew I had this standard for myself too, which is probably ingrained by her. But I would still like work out, didn't have a gym. I was a little bit too, what's it called? Again, like prideful of like paying a gym, like going to a gym. So I was like, okay, I could do it on the street. And then at the time, how I got into fitness when I actually had to go to a gym was I moved to Daly City. It's too fucking cold. One of my friends asked me to go meet him at the gym, and I ended up going to the gym once. I was like, oh, I actually really like it here. Got my first membership, was going through a breakup. But at the time,
This is like a commercial gym.
It was at Crunch. It was at Crunch.
Okay.
Yeah. But my ex at the time was basically trying to compete with me for bodybuilding, like who can have the biggest transformation.
Okay.
And I'm super competitive, so I hired a bodybuilding coach.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then from there, I like understood working out and training, diet. I was still bulimic at the time though, but I didn't say it to my coach or anything like that. But anyways, long story short, it was bodybuilding. Then there was a calisthenics competition. I was one of the first few girls during that time when calisthenics was becoming big, and it was at a fitness expo. The guy that was hosting it knew who I was from Instagram, so he's like, you should just sign up for the competition.
Okay.
And it was me, a gymnast, and a CrossFitter. And the CrossFitter was the one that beat us. And I was like...
In a physique competition?
No, in a calisthenics competition.
Oh, calisthenics, okay.
She beat us by a strict ring muscle-up, which like no one really had at the time. And then, so my friends at the commercial gym, they saw me and they were like, you should just try doing the open. And then I was like, what is that?
I see.
Then, so CrossFit.
What year is this?
2014.
Okay.
2014.
Okay.
And then after that, I was like, is this girl that beat me? In my head, I was like, is this girl that beat me going to be in the competition? They're like, yeah. So I was like, okay, fine. Sign me up. I didn't know shit about Olympic lifting, so I hired a coach for Olympic lifting.
Sure.
And at the same time, I also got into jiu-jitsu. So they were all kind of like around the same time.
Right on.
And I was just like, fuck it. Just full send it.
And this is in your early 20s, mid 20s?
Yeah, early 20s.
Okay. Are you in school during this time?
I don't think so. I was building my business as a trainer. I remember that.
Okay.
I was the kid that walked out of school.
Yeah.
Like, when I was in college, even before fitness, I think fitness saved me from like a very, I had a lot of addictive behaviors back then. And between the breakup until fitness, before fitness, I should say that, I was studying chemical engineering. I was working like 72 hours a week just to pay for rent and stuff like that. I moved out when I was 17.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, and so I was smart, but I was also like, I didn't like chemical engineering. Like, it wasn't something that I loved doing. It was just like, oh, it's competitive. There's very
Asian.
Yeah, but it's like the barrier to entry was like high, so I felt like, okay, there's not a lot of competition there. But as I looked at the lifestyle, I didn't like it, and I was just like, like not happy.
Sure.
But then fitness was kind of something that kind of
fun.
Yeah, it was something that was fulfilling. And as people said that I should be a trainer, like a manager approached me, was like, hey, you be a trainer, you'd be really inspirational, da da da. I was like, how much money does it make? And I was like, it doesn't make a lot of money. So it wasn't like, it wasn't in my forefront of my head, like, this is what I want to do. Because as I learned really young that money does matter, right? So like, I never really, I was always chasing money, but I never knew what fun was or like what I liked doing. But as I was giving tips out for free, and like, people were saying, oh, whatever you just said to me just made a big difference, or it's changing my life. And I was like, damn, this feeling of fulfillment is something that money can never buy. So one day I just said, fuck it. I was in the shower. I was actually coming off drugs, and I was like, dude, how the fuck I get here? Like, just in this spot, I had all these dreams. I was supposed to be somewhere by the time I was 21. And I have everything externally, it was cool, like car, house, everything, like I had it in place, but I personally was just like, what the fuck? Right? And so one day just snapped out of it. I was like, okay, fuck everything that I used to chase. I would rather just do something that makes me happy, and I'll figure out the money part. Because then people always said, like, I asked, like, should I change, like, study something in school? And my manager was like, no, if you keep studying kinesiology, you're just gonna get pigeonholed there. You should study business, and then you're gonna, knowing you as a person, you're so passionate about whatever you do, you're just gonna naturally learn everything you need to do in the fitness world, and you just need to get a bit better at the business part. And so I just said, fuck it. So I just walked out of accounting class one day. I used to negotiate with the teachers too, like if I can come in only during tests, I'll do all the homework myself, just so I can go basically spend most of my time building business or doing things that I love doing. And I remember the accounting class, he didn't let me budge, and I just said, fuck this, and I walked out, and I went to go have dinner with mentors instead that taught me way more than I ever learned in school. So I don't know if that answers the question, but I was not exactly in school, but I was definitely always still learning. And I always I had a evaluation system in my head, like who I would learn from.
So you're in the industry now, you're having multiple disciplines that you're practicing yourself. How does weightlifting become the central part of, like, to me, it sounds like it's a big part of your life. Yeah. How does this become such a big part of your life?
I think having all those experiences and like distilling, it always kept wanting to distill me down to one thing. And weightlifting was just like, so now I know that I'm like built to do this. Like I know I have a little bit of an event. I got the levers, I got the mindset. Because it does take a certain personality to be really good at weightlifting, which is supposed to be somewhat sanguine. So like,
what's that mean?
Sanguine is a little bit.
Is that Chinese?
No, sanguine is an English word.
That's English?
Bruh. It's certain personality types.
Sanguine?
So there's phlegmatic, choleric, melancholy, and sanguine. Sanguine people are very bubbly and they have a lot of energy. There's someone mostly extroverted, but they have a lot of drive. And again, like it's...
I'm getting schooled right now. Marked by eager hopefulness. Confidently optimistic.
Yeah. But it's hard to knock them, typically it's hard to knock them down. And so like discovering myself and weightlifting was just always there. It was loyal until my dislocations. But we're gonna talk about that period of my life. It was loyal. It was always there for me. Like jiu-jitsu, for example, right? Like you have to train with people. I couldn't make it to class all the time. I was like juggling hella shit and I was like, I can't make it to class. CrossFit is just, you could also somewhat do it in class, but I needed a training partner to really push me at the time. Sure. And so weightlifting was like something I can always do. And it transferred, I actually got into it CrossFit and Jiu-Jitsu, for example, right? They both needed weightlifting. Jiu-Jitsu, I didn't know how to use my hips. So Olympic lifting, I just kept doing more of it. CrossFit, same thing, I wasn't good at it. So I kept just pointing to Olympic lifting. And so more and more I did it, more and more I kind of discovered myself. And Olympic lifting, for example, transfers into stage presence, right? Like I can come off as confident, but I'm also extremely shy. Like I have stage fright. Like me doing this right now is, if you go 10 years back, I would have been fucking just still, I'm not even talking.
Yeah.
And like, so Olympic lifting, what was different between CrossFit and Olympic lifting was the stage presence. CrossFit is like hella people are cheering at you, it's hella loud, like it's just the perfect environment to perform.
There's chaos.
Yeah. I thrive in chaos. Olympic lifting is a total opposite. It's like super prestigious. It's like a library. You can hear the chip crunch from like across the room, and you have these lights are shining at you, 3 judges, and like a minute timer, and you do perfect.
It's like a piano recital.
Yes, exactly. And so I had to fight my stage presence to be good at weightlifting. And so it was just Olympic lifting had a lot more personal growth and development that I wouldn't have been pushed to do unless it was just at Olympic lifting, if that makes sense. Because it gave me something tangible to work on versus like, you tell me to go public speaking. I'm not looking for those opportunities, but Olympic lifting, I have to do it. So that's why I kept everything, like I said, it pushed towards getting better at Olympic lifting. So platform presence, I had to learn how to manage anxiety, how to be confident, how to be still at the same time. Like a lot of just balance is what Olympic lifting taught me.
So you get really into the sport. How does an American-born in the Bay Area person end up in China? I know you're in recruiting as part of your job. Like, is it anything related to your job, or is it no? Just like how do you end up in China? Like, yeah.
So again, when I started weightlifting, China's the thing on pedestal. I was like, fuck, if I can ever just train at China, if I could just
get to a camp.
Yeah, if I could just get to China and train there, that would be my goal. And it came, like I manifested it, like I was like in 5 years I want to be in China, but I don't know how it's gonna look like. And so how I even got my first foot in the door was I went to a weightlifting camp by one of my friends on Instagram, and it still gives me like goosebumps thinking about it, like how intertwined everything is. So the coach that was hosting it there, Coach Xie Yong, his son went to Berkeley, and he is also good friends with one of my Chinese coaches here, where I just randomly, he just used to train at our gym, and I was the only person that spoke Chinese, so he would give me cues. And he was also good friends with, so he was good friends with Xie Yong. And so I went there, I showed him like a picture of my coach, and he said, oh, we used to, we're at least in the same year group. My coach at that time went to Worlds, and they knew each other. And then so he's told me that he always goes back to Berkeley sometimes to visit his son, and then he asked me if I can help him build something with Chinese weightlifting here. So we kept in contact. And then COVID hit. And then, I backtrack. First go to Xie. The second one, next year I went to another camp in Sanming, which is with youth. And that was with like, my role model at the time was Deng Wei. Deng Wei is the 64 world record holder.
Okay.
And she was the one that scouted her as a kid. So that coach, I was like, fuck, I'm just starstruck basically. And so, but her and I kept in contact, and I think from there, just because keeping contact could just kind of grew and grew from there. And this is probably where like naturally why I'm good at recruiting. I think it's I just like what I like, and I keep putting energy into it. So kind of like you reap what you sow. So yeah, I just kept in contact with them. Then I started going by myself, and then kind of just transpired from there.
How many camps have you done now?
Done or like?
Yeah, I don't know, participated in or?
Maybe it depends on your definition of a camp, but like a place where there's like 10 plus people that are going, probably 4. And then I've traveled myself to China. I've only been home for like 4 months of last year. But I went in once the doors opened right after COVID. So that was, first one was 2017, then 2018, and COVID hit. Then everything was shut down, and then went back again in 2024. And then the first time I went, it was in February, because my dislocation happened 2023 and 2024. So it was like no point in me really going at the time anyways. But once I felt good about my elbow, I went to China. I was like, all right, this is the place where I'm going to train to at least get my confidence back. Because there was just things I was doing that I was like, I need other eyes. I need to be in a training environment that's conducive to my rehab. So I first went to China in February. Then I came back. Then I dislocated my elbow again. And then...
This is like this year?
This is last year. I dislocated, yeah. Yeah, I went back in February and I came back, dislocated again. But at the time when I was there in February, I was asking questions like, oh, I always want to watch the recruiting of the kids. When does that happen? And she told me around like, she said, we can go whenever you want. And then at the time, before the second dislocation, I had planned to do nationals. And so I was prepping for that. Then I dislocated again. And nationals is at the same time as my family was doing a vacation to Taiwan. And I told them I was going to bail on it because of nationals, but now I can go. And I was like, oh, can I swear?
You've been. Keep it going.
I mean, okay, so I said, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go to Taiwan, but before I'm also gonna go watch the recruiting. So I hit her up and I was like, hey, actually, can I come back for a couple weeks and just watch the whole process? She's like, absolutely. So I went back and then from there kind of just took off. So a lot of times now when I go to China, usually it's for myself and then somehow end up meeting people there or there's a camp that's going on at the same time and I'll help out.
What do you feel like this journey of weightlifting has like, this is a very meta question. What has it taught you like about life? Like the way you see life?
I was like, how much time we have? Going back to when I said weightlifting was the one thing that taught me balance, right? Because you have to be well-rounded to even do it. Like you have to be strong, you have to be fast, you have to be mobile. And you also have to have a good mindset because it's a nervous system sport again. So, and then platform presence. It's like how do you perform on stage when everyone's looking at you and how do you perform when no one's looking at you? And it's like you have to be able to balance all of that out. And stress management was like the one big thing. Because after I knew it was a nervous system sport, I was like, oh, I know exactly what I need to do on a daily basis to basically perform well and how to navigate the days I'm not performing well. And so weightlifting has taught me stress management. That's one thing. And how to, for example, like I don't sleep a lot, right? But then I know what to expect on the days I'm not sleeping a lot, how to prep my mind to have a better day. And Olympic lifting, like every day is different. Like you always think that you might have gotten it down. You know, I know exactly how to lift, and then you just get humbled immediately. Like fuck, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And so like being able to manage your personal expectations and managing expectations of others as well, like even as a coach, like that's what weightlifting has taught me. So if I were to basically boil it down, it has taught me holistic stress management, like everything around you. The same thing as like weightlifting too. It's like it's so many things happening at once and you just have to be able to just move the bar in a straight line.
Yep.
Right? Like,
yep.
Like there's so many things you can think about, but it's also just like you only have one goal. So it's the same thing as life. Like if you have a goal, but life is always gonna hit the fan. How do you do that? Like stay North Star and stay goal oriented while everything's still hitting the fan. And like being able to manage the chaos around you and being still in chaos is like the one thing weightlifting definitely will bring out in you and teach you. If I were to put it in like.
That's good. That's good.
One sentence.
I was not expecting that. That was really good answer.
Stillness and chaos.
Yeah. How do you balance your life of you? It sounds like you live like half-time in China. 50%?
I mean, it's gonna look like in the future I'm gonna be like a quarter here, quarter there, quarter here, quarter there.
But like if you 365 days a year, 180-ish is in another country.
And yeah.
Right. You're living there. How do you balance that, like your professional life with this like alter ego, you know?
That's a perfect way to put it.
How do you balance Hillary Tran with Baby Hills and this whole other life you have in a sport where you're not? Are you actively coaching still or no?
Oh, I'm about to double down on that this year when I came back from, yeah.
Oh wow, okay. And are you leaving your corporate life?
Yes, that is what it's going to look like.
Okay, wow, okay, I see. Okay, so yeah, so like, what does that look like? Like, I don't know anybody that does that has this duality where they're living in like two worlds and two different countries.
question is, how do I balance that out?
Yeah, what's it like?
What is it like?
Yeah.
Is like a different question.
Yeah.
What is it like? It is freaking chaotic, and like, I think.
Do you have permanent residence there?
Where?
Like in China somewhere, or do you live at a hotel or?
Oh, dude, it's easy to move around in China. Like, it's the problem in China is abundance. They have so much of everything. So like when I do live there, like I live in either like hotels or not exactly an Airbnb, but like a lodge, like a apartment, right?
Okay.
You can pay the apartment weekly, monthly. It's very flexible.
Really?
It's not like a lease. You don't sign anything, and they're like hella nice to you. Like nice as in like it's just flexible. They make things work for you. It's nothing like strict black and white. You have to check out by this day, or what can we do for you? Like I even send my mail there, and I'm like, hey, can you hold on to it for me real quick, and then I'll come back and get it. But like they know I'm coming. They know I'm gonna come back to get it and come back and want to stay.
Yeah.
And like knowing my natural tendency is like I'm gonna extend my stay. I don't ever actually go leave short or anything like that. So like in China, it's easy to stay anywhere. They're very accommodating.
Interesting.
So I don't have PR. Like I don't have to have an apartment. Like honestly, like if I don't have it here, I can just find it the next building over.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So all the places I stay now, they already know who I am. It's easy. I can just call, say, hey, I'm coming in.
Yeah.
You got anything for me? No, but then we have somewhere else for you. Like they're really easy.
You stay in the same place, like the same cities every time?
Usually.
Like where's your China HQ?
Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Shanghai. I would
3
say
cities.
the top 3. Yeah, but Guangzhou and Shenzhen, they're very like next to each other, and then Shanghai is like pretty homey to me too.
Okay.
Well, we're talking about like the cities, but then schools-wise, it's usually Guizhou or Fuzhou.
Okay.
The schools are more expensive than like staying in the cities.
Oh, interesting. Because you're coming in as an outsider, or just because?
Actually, no. Lodging is somewhat the same, but no. The schools are strategically placed in areas where it's not like you can just walk to the city.
Yeah,
it's like 20, 30 minutes
it's
away.
inaccessible on purpose, right?
Yeah, so you stay focused.
Wow.
And the air quality is just way better. They're usually around mountainous areas or like a lot of greenery for better air quality.
Wow. Yeah, and then what's your professional life like? Like how? Yeah.
Like balancing it out.
Yeah. What? I know you're in recruiting.
Like some days I don't even sleep. Some days I'm like pulling all-nighters or like, because it's the opposite time zone, right? It's like hour 9 to 5 is when they sleep and vice versa. So, for example, like if I have a meeting at noon over here, which is like I think 3, I'm over there, some shit like that, I would just have to set alarms, wake up, do the meeting, and then go back to sleep. And then, or just have to stay up. But it's like it has to be very planned out.
Yeah.
And then, like, okay, I remember I had this revelation. I was like, there's no way I'm ever gonna have, actually I wouldn't say no way, but there was one time where I was like, there's no way I'm gonna have like a normal morning routine when I'm over there. Because my routine when I'm over there is basically right when I wake up, I'm answering calls or like I'm in meetings and stuff like that. And I just have to like just be straight on, like turn it on. But the way my brain works is if I don't have my non-negotiables done in the morning, when I'm here, right, for example, like in America, when I don't have my non-negotiables done in the morning, I'll get really angry. Like I just don't feel centered or grounded. But when I was trying to hashtag
what are those, by the way?
Reading in the morning, training, like anything that I have to do done personally should be done before noon when I'm here. Otherwise, it's like I'm gonna just get angry at everyone. I'm just an angry child in general. So I had to get grounded and like be able to write and at least get my training done in the morning. That's just the one non-negotiable. Everything, even if I don't read or like if I don't get my journaling done in the morning, I know I can just do like, that's quick. It's like 10, 20 minutes, right? I can place that anywhere else in the day, but if I don't get a train in the morning, then once meetings and everything is going on at the next half of the day, I'm not gonna be able to
a physical stack,
Yeah. So, but in China, it was the opposite. Like right when I'm waking up, I'm doing calls. I don't have that time to really center and just get all my feelings out in the first half of the day. So
how are you living in China then?
So in China, right when I wake up, it is meetings, and then I have to train later half of the day. But I would get so tired out that I just know I have to get it done. So I'd get it done no matter what on the second half of the day. But so that's just when I'm living in the cities. When I'm in school though, school is set training, 9 a.m., 3 p.m. Okay. You're gonna just have to do it no matter what. Sometimes And like when I'm training, I'll just be on the phone. Sometimes.
Like you're working.
Yeah, but like I just can only do text message. I'm not taking a call at that time.
I see.
So it's like when you're asking me how to balance it, there's no pretty way of doing it. It's extremely chaotic.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, and so that's the sacrifice that I made to just go to China though. Like I know that's what it's gonna take when I do go to China. I have some systems set up in place here that like, oh, I can delegate this to someone else helping me out while I'm in training, for example, or when I'm not available during those hours. Like having help is definitely like I could not have gone to China without the people around me and my team.
Yeah.
But so I think that's one thing. I don't know if everyone can do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say the team around me definitely helps and supports me by going to China. But when I'm going to China, I'm sacrificing sleep, for example, sometimes. Like I tell them like, fuck, I'm training double when I'm in China sometimes. And I need the recovery rate to be almost triple. But I don't get that. But I know for me to even be able to fund myself basically in China sometimes, it's like, I have to do this. And then it's just like a short-term thing.
Yeah.
And then when it does, like, you could take breaks for like a couple of days, right? Like, I just need to know when I cannot do this again. Or like, I need to actually sleep today. And I'll just kind of, you guys can live without me for like a day or two. Or like, I just have to delegate it. But a lot of it is definitely a lot of moving parts. There's no pretty way of doing work and doing, like, being in China for that long. But you get a rhythm of it after a while. Like, but I just knew like I'm not gonna have the exact routine I have in America than I do in China. Yeah. And that was something that I just have to accept, and then you just work around it. You can't get mad. Yeah. I used to get mad at it because I'm like, how am I gonna be able to recover, or how am I gonna be able to live peacefully in China, and just knowing that my routine is not gonna be the same. But you learn how to task switch. You just learn to adapt pretty quickly.
You're like one of the most interesting guests we've ever had in terms of like lifestyle wise, and I'm curious, how do you, so you've said that you feel like you live very controversially, as in like traditionally like what people would think about health and fitness, you don't live in that like a box that like 90% of what's being taught, you're like probably like you're not following things to a T, like with sleep, for example, because of how you have to navigate your life. I'm curious how you, like, for example, do you follow any hard rules when it comes to diet or nutrition? Like in school, like when you're out of school, that's decided for you.
Yeah, I don't have to think about food. Like school is always like the easiest. I don't have to think about my food. I don't have any rules. It's just like it's served to me. Yeah. But outside, like managing life, it's funny that you bring this question up because I have one of my good friends in Guangzhou. She eats like shit, but she trains just as hard as I do. Yeah. And
is she like a national athlete?
So she's a CrossFitter.
A CrossFitter.
She's a CrossFitter.
Okay. A Chinese CrossFitter.
Yeah, but she eats fries. She eats McDonald's, and like she just eats whatever she wants to eat. And I remember one day she was like, "You want some fries?" And I'm like, "No, I don't really eat fried food." And she's like, she's like, "Wait, do you follow a certain diet?" I'm like, "Yeah." Technically, I mean, I do blood work just to make sure like what am I deficient in and et cetera, and I eat accordingly to that. She's like, "Oh my God, you're healthier than I think you are," and I'm like. Well, she's like, you drink and stuff like that. Like, what about? I was like, yeah, but that's not gonna. I have rules of I don't really eat fried foods. I just naturally just don't eat fried foods in general, and I think that came from dieting from years before.
Sure,
like,
you had bodybuilding background and and then early cross. I mean, you weren't part of the paleo era, so.
I wasn't exactly CrossFitting.
You weren't like zone paleo era either, so. Yeah, like
but I was macro tracking era.
You're macro tracking.
I was I would go eat omakase and I put the sushi on, like I put the sashimi on the scale.
You're not.
And then the rice on the other scale. I basically would deconstruct the entire plate and just put them on scales, and I know exactly and put them back together.
Dang. Wow.
But like that taught me a lot of things. Like I know exactly how much I need to eat. My sister's in meal prep, so portions are already done.
I got some for you.
And I eat pretty intuitively, but...
I bet you carried around one of these, huh? Who's there? Huh?
Yeah, gotta know.
Yeah.
Why do you have that too?
Whenever I eat somewhere for the first time, like for the first time, if I'm unfamiliar, I'll weigh it, and then I don't do it again. But I've been like weighing for like, I'm 37. I've been weighing for like at least a decade and a half. So like it's like I can eyeball, but sometimes it's tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, actually another thing that kind of opened my eyes. So I used to track the hell out of everything. And when I was in China one time, I asked them, I was like, so what's your diet like? And then they're like, just whatever you eat at the cafeteria.
Yeah.
Cafeteria does have fried seafood. It has veggies, but it's soup, meat, rice. It's like nothing traditionally you think that Chinese weightlifters would eat. And they eat pizza sometimes on like a cheat.
Yeah.
But
well, so what? Let's talk about that. What do you think people think they eat versus what they actually eat?
I think people think that they eat chicken, rice, and broccoli.
Really?
Or
I
like,
never thought that. Well,
or maybe like fish, or like they think that they eat really clean. And I think they do eat really clean to an extent, but like fried shrimp, for example, is not something I thought that would be on the menu.
Huh.
Or like noodle soup.
Really?
Yeah, I would just think that they like don't.
I feel like they would just eat Chinese food.
They do eat Chinese food. I love Chinese food. Now, I don't like Chinese food when I'm here, but I like Chinese food when I'm over there.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I feel like they would just eat like Chinese
But
food.
like me before, I would think, oh, maybe everything is tracked. Like, how did they get so lean?
I see.
You might think that they don't eat a lot of carbs, for example. Like or like maybe like something similar to paleo or like something very strict. This is just like me 10 years ago, or like however years ago before I went to China. That's what I thought they would eat.
Yeah.
When I go there, they're just eating everything pretty normally that we would eat at home.
But they're doing two sessions a day.
Yeah, they're doing 2
And
sessions
how
a
long are
day.
the sessions?
2 hours at least.
Come on. They got 4 hours of training a day.
Yeah.
I mean,
4 hours training a day.
metabolically, depending on your weight class, like I'm guessing, like your BM, like your burn rate's like minimum 3,000.
Yeah.
3,000 to 5
Yeah.
is the range, right? So
Yeah.
calorically in that range, like just my immediate thought is like you eat enough protein, and then the rest is like.
Oh,
Get
that
enough
was
to
another
eat,
thing. You would assume they eat a lot of protein.
Yeah.
They actually don't. There's nothing that's measured out for protein. There's no
Yeah.
like standard that you eat of protein
Yeah,
there.
because they're just mixed. It's mixed dishes, right?
This is a joke between one of my friends. They're like, "How do you always get so strong when you're there?" I'm like, honestly, all they feed me is fucking yogurt, and I'm like,
There's protein in that.
but it's not like Greek yogurt. It's like Chinese yogurt, but they eat it as a dessert.
Interesting.
So when you ask my dietary restrictions, so the thing that I learned there was I was holding more of my weight because of stress. So it was like another stress management lesson where it's like, so when I came back, I would eat intuitively. When I eat intuitively, I actually cut weight faster than I did when I was tracking. But because of tracking, I can see how much I'm supposed to be eating and like still kind of follow somewhat guidelines. And fried food for me just doesn't go down well.
In one of the clips you made that I brought up and I said we got to talk about this is like the idea of like pursuing happiness as part of your. I can't remember the clip exactly. Like I'd have to pull it up, but there's something about like it sounds like they're just having fun, and I think that's a very underrated element of living it sounds weird, but it's like that's an underrated element of living a happy, healthy life, right? It's like actually, right? Because it's like, oh yeah, just like have fun, and that would in turn that would make you happier. But at the highest level, I think I come from like I'm a second generation immigrant. You're a second generation as well, as in we are both born here, but our parents were not.
Yeah.
I think that comes with a lot of expectation.
Yeah.
That is like even without them speaking it onto us, it's kind of woven into like our DNA, right? Of like there's a certain work ethic that you're gonna have. I was at a mastermind 2 weeks ago with a bunch of guys from all over the U.S., like 25 of us. I'm the only Asian, and one guy asked me this question that I've never been asked, and he said, "Do you think that the way that you work is because you're Asian?" And he prefaced it with like, "Please don't take this the wrong way."
Yeah.
He was like, "Do you think?" And I sat there and I was like, "Nobody's ever asked me that. Like nobody's ever said, do you think you're this way because of your Asian cultural background?" And I was sitting there and I was like, I paused and I started like doing the math. He goes, "Do you think that your expectations on yourself?" I was like, it hit me. It was like I got punched in the gut, and I was like, "Whoa, yeah, yes."
Yeah.
And he was like, "I bet you like the way that you have your kids in sports and this and that, and as like I'm already doing like what I think is like a down-regulated version of like what all my peers did growing up, where they went to SAT and like all this.
Kumon.
Yeah, Kumon. I went to Kumon, right? I worked at Kumon, right? And it's like I just fed into the system of like, this is, if you want to be successful, you have to do this.
Yeah.
Right? And it was never even like spoken. It was just, this is the cultural norm of if you grow up around here, that's kind of what's normal. And it kind of projected into my entire life.
Yeah.
And then there's no, you know, at 37 years old, like I'm finding, like I'm learning how to like have fun.
Yeah.
And it sounds psychotic and like a little bit sad, you know, but I'm like learning, well, what does it mean to have, this guy's like, this guy doesn't have any fun. But like, I like literally like don't know how to have fun, and I'm learning what that looks like in my life. Yeah. Because I like don't know how to teach it to my kids. Yeah. You know, can we speak on that? Like, what does that look like for you? And then from your experiences in weightlifting too, like with culturally Chinese people that are like elite level athletes, what does that look like?
So, for me to understand the question again, because the core of this question is happiness in what I do, and then also like, does being Asian affect it? Yeah. Right. 100%. Like I'm an overachiever archetype. Like, but it's because like there was nothing else that you get attention from your parents.
Dang.
Like,
dude, bro.
It's like the only time they give you time is like, oh, well, actually, I mean, the only time they give you time. It's just like when they recognize you, it's like you got an A.
It's because you did something right.
Yeah. And so I was
or you get attention for negative. Yeah, for not being successful. Yeah. And it's negative attention, right? It's like you don't want that kind of attention.
Right. And then so like all of us go through our phases of rebellion in high school. So like for me, it was like, okay, well, the only thing I knew this because I remember when I first went to fitness, my first breakup, I was like, how the hell did I let this guy get such a hold on me? I'm like, I never want someone to be in control of my happiness ever again. And like going back to that shower Coke time where I slapped myself in the face and was like, fuck chemical engineering, going to fitness. It was the same thing where I was like thinking back, like I've never been happy before. And like, I think the only time I can really even anchor that was like maybe when I was a kid, but still like I just had this entire life flashback. I was like, fuck, I never knew what happiness was ever growing up. And then so that's where I was like, I then still anchored into fitness and thinking it can give me that again. But 100%, like my parents were not there. I actually had no form of discipline growing up. It was like they gave me free reins and I had to figure out discipline for myself because I wanted to be good at this and et cetera. So like I just thought good people accomplish great things. So that's what I anchored to as a kid. And then now fast forward when you go to weightlifting, when we're talking about like happiness is the secret to recovery, which is what the first thing I ever learned on Chinese weightlifting camp. When he said that, I was like,
happiness is say that one more time.
Happiness is the secret to recovery. And I was just like, then it all makes sense, you know, because happiness is controlling your hormones, right? And as we think about why people get fat, why people do have addictive behaviors, why anything quote unquote negative happens to you is because you're chasing happiness. And happiness is not something happiness is something that's, I think joy and happiness are two different things too as well. Like joy is just little things that happen. Happiness is like attached to an outcome. But as he said, like happiness is the secret to recovery, I was just like going back. I was like, okay, so food, stress, same thing. It just goes down to happiness. Are you happy doing what you're doing? And then same thing when it came to weightlifting. It's like the days you get super frustrated, your technique doesn't even come out. It just, instead it gets worse, right? And so like when it all just kind of, when you think about happiness, it's actually the secret to recovery because he's like, then your cells recover at the rate of what you're thinking as well, right? Like as you think about like cancer patients, a lot of them have said like the happier that they are, they're usually faster that they recover, and then the opposite. So, yeah, I would say happiness is not something that we're born thinking about because you're just thinking about the money or like your outcome. Survival. Yeah, and then but when you're at the camps, I think another part of it is because when they have to okay their kids going to sports schools, they think that it's going to be a very tedious life. They're going to be having to work so hard. They're going to be in pain. They keep looking at these negative factors. And like as you're training weightlifting, the goal of the coach is to make an environment that's conducive to success, which is like it has to be happy, it has to be hyped, it has to be in a positive energy. Otherwise, everything else is just going to be negative.
What are they like? What are the things that you've noticed that they do to create that culture? Like how much game playing is there?
Oh, they do. They are pretty good at reading. All the coaches were athletes before.
Reading?
When they're reading an athlete,
Oh,
like when you're
okay.
reading the room, right? Like when
Okay,
you're
yeah.
reading, like, okay, what is going to help them to be able to understand what they're doing?
Mm-hmm.
So all coaches were athletes before. Like you have to be a master of the sport. Like you have to have competed at least for like 10 years to be able to be a coach in China,
wow.
like to be the sports schools. So 1A, it's already like you've been in their shoes, experience. They can kind of read already. And so I don't know how much I can say is game playing, but they know like you have to keep hammering their nerve. For example, one thing that they do, I think is also somewhat of a debunking is they fry your nervous system. They purposely fry it and then you fry it one more time. You just fry it one more time just to increase your rate of recovery almost. It's like if you keep, because then I think like I think an excuse for some of us, we're like, oh, our nervous system is fried, we can't do it today. Or like, you've trained to failure, you don't have no juice for the next day. For them, it's like, no, you got no juice, one more drip. Like, juice it the fuck out, and then call it a day.
Wow.
And then the next day, you're expected to do the same thing. So your rate of recovery starts getting higher.
Wow.
I think is one thing that they do. And then if they see the whole gym is down, coming in, like, dragging ass into training, they'll liven up the atmosphere. So we play music, or she makes them do something that's a little bit competitive just to get them out of your head. And sometimes we've even, like, as you get older, some of the pre-workout that we take as you're older was, when we were there at least, what was it? I think it's like snake wine or something. But when they see everything is down, they'll try to liven it up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much is a game plan, but a lot of it's reading the room and reading the athlete and what they really need. Because I think, this might be off topic, but I was there helping to translate my friend's research for women's weightlifting. And she was asking how much is being a female versus a male dictative of success, and like, do you train women and females, or women and men differently in weightlifting? And the coaches said it has nothing to do with being a girl or a guy. It's personality.
Interesting. What's the personality indicator? Is that deciding factor? Or is that a secret?
I think it might be a little bit of both. Like, is it a deciding factor? Like, how much of it is personality and how much of it is like secret to weightlifting? For sure, it's like the way that you view failure. Like, there's one thing that they say it's harder to teach. It's called baoting. I think it's called baoting. Like your performance, your ability to perform, right? That's something that's hard to find. I remember when we were recruiting kids, other kids were like physically better, but this one guy who couldn't do a cartwheel, but because he was like fearless to do a cartwheel, that's why they liked him more. It has nothing to do with, you can teach it, but it's like, you can't teach this guy to be fearless and be confident and brave to attempt something that he doesn't know what he's doing.
That kind of makes me think of like people that are really great, like they're like really good in training, and then on the competition floor, like they crap the bed.
Tank, yeah.
Yeah, or vice versa. Like they're
Yes.
like pretty average in training. Like I always think this about like one of our guys, Luke. It's like when there's something on the line, when he's competing, he's somehow like 30% better. Just because there's something on the line.
Yeah.
He like his lifts just like he does really great. Like for a weightlifter, weightlifters don't like ladders, right? Y'all like just like hitting the weight, right? Like it's not ideal for you to hit like CrossFit ladders, like a clean ladder, a snatch ladder where you're like 135, 145. Like you're wasting energy to get there. No.
No, not really.
Oh, okay. There's no rules then. Okay.
No.
I always thought like I think it's like because there's like 3 lifts. You're not trying to like do like lift 10 pounds within seconds of each other.
Oh, Chinese weightlifting, actually, no, the way they train is very CrossFit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, lift as much weight, like as much poundage as you can in a short amount of time.
Oh shoot!
In training, that is how we train.
That is very CrossFit. Okay, I did not know that. But like, usually
I
you
think
would
American weightlifters are a little bit different.
You would think like, okay, yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
American. Like you like, okay, you're gonna get really, really tired.
Yeah.
If I have to start here and I have to end, let's just say it's 100, let's say it's 150 pounds apart. I don't like around the middle mark or like near the end. I'm gonna get really tired. Luke's his form just gets like it's just perfect all throughout.
So,
but in training it doesn't look the same. Not that he's horrible, but in a competition, for some reason, he's just flawless.
It's great that you're bringing this up because I literally had this conversation with someone over the weekend. There's different types of players, and I get this from the book Relentless. It's a cleaner.
Tim Grover.
Yeah, cleaner, closer, cooler, right?
Yeah.
The difference between, and I would just call it A, B, and C because it's too many words. But A players are cleaners, B players are closers, and C's are cooler, right? Mm-hmm. I was a B player before the platform presence. I was always in training. Fucking, I can do anything in training. You put me on a stage, it's like I fucking just shit the bed.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell is going on, and it's because like I told you about the pressure, and the different parts of these performances, just the pressure that's on the table. So I use the question like, why can I lift so much more in training and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing on a platform, and then you have the vice versa. And I have some athletes that are more a game day lifters than they are training day lifters, and honestly, yes, the whole thing is about pressure.
Yeah.
So how they train it in school. Right, you go on the platform as much as you can. They just like they sometimes lift on stage and they'll lift on stage, but as a kid, you don't really know exactly the difference. Yeah. You're just lifting whether you're like a little higher level up or you're lifting in training. But I asked them, I was like, because when you go to every training school, there is a platform there, like in terms of the elevated actual like lifting platform.
I see.
Yeah. So
it's the stage.
Yeah, the stage.
Yeah.
And basically, so they look at it as the same. It's nothing different. Something that might be on the line, but they've been training in the environment for so long. It's just you're having fun, and there's not that much pressure on them as much as they would know whether it's there or not. If that makes sense.
That's good.
And like even like my youth team here, you'll see the kids. They perform well. It's because it's just like, all right, we're just following coach's orders. There's not much of a difference. And then. But as an adult, right, like you're doing this, you already know, you know too much. You know, sometimes ignorance is bliss.
I can see that, yeah.
But as they're growing up, they have something to fight for too. Like they're there at school for a reason. Yeah. When they get older, you ask them what their dream is. It's just to be the Olympics. And when they asked us, I remember the first time I went there, they're asking, so how did you guys get into weightlifting? We tell them it's a hobby. And they're just looking at like, what? Like, you have fun doing this? Yeah. Or like you do this for fun? And then all of us were like, yeah, we do this for fun. And so there is a little bit of that like, what's it called? You want what you can't have type of thing. Yeah. But yeah, like going back into, I think we were talking about training, right? How do they...
Happiness. Yeah.
Happiness, yeah. Like they're happy either way. It's so cohesive for them. It's like that's all they know. And there's not much, I would say, on the table for us versus like, there's a lot on the table, but they've been growing up in that mindset. Sure. They've been growing up like this is their life, and so there's not much, it's not different anywhere you are. Versus like for us, it's like it's only a part of our life. Yeah. So when it's only a part, you have so many other things to manage, and you just have.
It's an escape for most people, or it's something to. It's a small habit or discipline that you have that might make you better in other aspects of your life.
But you have other things you're doing as well, right? Versus like, I remember the other thing when I first went there, I was like, they're also happy. But it's like you're lifting with your friends, right? Like everyone around you is doing the same thing. You live in the same place, same house. And so they're also
24/7,
they're taken away from their family. So they have to be, this is your new family. And you have to be happy. Otherwise, it's just like, you're always going to be missing something. And it's going to bite you in the ass by the time you're really a high performer, elite. Right, but we won't even be able to get there because it's just you're always thinking about I miss home or I miss something else. So it's like you either adapt and be happy here and you understand what that means, or you'll just get filtered out eventually.
Dang. Kind of wrap up with a couple rapid fire questions and then one big one to end out. What do you feel like is a really underrated part of elite level weightlifting?
Stress management.
Yeah.
I think being able to handle the pressure.
Yeah, that's good. If you weren't a weightlifter, what would you be doing?
Sport-wise or what?
Yeah. What if weightlifting wasn't part of your life? You're like, I can't imagine.
I can't. If weightlifting wasn't part of my life, yeah, I can't imagine. It might be music.
Wow, I did not expect that.
We were talking about, I mean, the other part would, of course, work, but I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah.
I'm already.
Yeah. Singing? Singing?
No, I might go back to my Chinese harp, or it might be dance.
Yeah, that's right. I seen you play some Chinese harp before, and dance.
Dance was a pretty big. I really enjoyed dancing when I was a kid.
You got that freaking no.
I thought I did.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure. I might, but
You got that ABDC? Let's go. That's very Bay Area of you. That's very Filipino of you. And what is one thing that you would say to your 22-year-old self?
10 years ago. If I would honestly just tell her to keep. It's very cliche, but I would just tell her like, you're doing the right things. Keep going. Like, whatever comes, whatever you think is difficult, it's not that difficult, because it's gonna get more difficult the better you get. So you just have to understand like everything is a stepping stone, and you're gonna get through it no matter what. And just keep. I always just like keep going. If I gave up at that time, I don't know what the fuck I'd be doing either.
It's good.
You're not crazy. A lot of people called me crazy at the time. Like crazy for dreaming too big.
It's good. What helps you live a happy, healthy life?
This is a very difficult question. What helps me live a happy, healthy life? And you know what the hardest part is? The happy part. What helps me do that is honestly knowing I can get through anything, whether it's good or bad, and knowing that naturally I'm like I'm a positive person. I want the good for the world. As cliche as that fucking sounds, it's like as things hit the fan and I start disbelieving, I start doubting that. But like I just have to go back to where like I know who I am. I think that helps me a lot with just knowing who I am.
It's good. Any last words?
Why does everything keeps telling me that happiness is a secret to recovery?
Happiness is a secret to recovery.
Yeah, you keep bringing that up now, and I honestly believe that. I keep if one thing that people are going to take away from it, I hope it's that.
Yeah.
Impulse is the enemy of progress. It's the second thing that I learned.
Ooh. You dropping the bombs at the very end. Wow, let's go. Well, thanks for joining us today. It was awesome. I have like 1,000 more questions to ask you, but where can people get in touch with you if they have any questions? I know we got at
Baby
Hills, double L or one L?
Double L.
Double L, Baby Hills, double L. Stay happy, stay healthy.